Ricky Stenhouse will absolutely wreck Carson Hocevar sometime in the near future. That's just a fact.
The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media.
Hey guys, welcome to Actions Detrimental. I'm Denny Hamlin, driver of the Progressive Toyota this past weekend at Nashville Super Speedway. I wonder why they call it a Super Speedway.
Because it's bigger than the other Nashville track and you need to separate them somehow.
Good point. Well taken. Good point. Yeah, Trav made the impromptu visit. Put you in one of those fire drills right before the flight. I said you got
10 minutes.
10 minutes from right now, and we're going to take off as soon as you get there. Luckily for you, on the way to the airport, when I was on the way to the airport, I realized I forgot my bag and had to turn around and go home. So you actually had more time. So we told you just grab your cleanest OSU shirt. And
I didn't bring one. No OSU shirt this weekend.
I noticed that.
Upset.
Just a Topanga shirt.
Yeah.
Hey, it was a hit on Saturday night.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we had some on-track action this past weekend. We had all three series at Nashville. We had Rajah Caruth winning the truck race. Thoughts, takeaways from that?
I thought that was an excellent drive.
Yeah.
I only saw the last 20, 30 laps of it, and he had a rearview mirror full of Corey Heim.
Yeah. It was kind of one of the first weekends that I thought Corey was a little vulnerable to the competition. I thought Lane Riggs, for the most part, had the fastest truck, but I think they got sent back, kind of a bad pit stop or something. Yeah, they couldn't get the right front wheel off on their pit stops, and so he struggled battling back from 7th or 8th or so on that last stop. Corey was good, not as dominant as what we've seen in the past. And Rajah's pit crew got him out P1, and he just rocketed it off and took off, and then played defense once Corey got close. And so, great win for Rajah. He actually came here and did a little hoop group tryout. Yeah, he did. This is probably a few months ago. We have a pretty long waiting list for our hoop group to get in our league. So we wanted to check out the new talent, right? And in our league, we're not looking for great talent.
Right.
We're looking for solid people that bring something to the table. Hey, are you going to go out and have a beer with us after?
That was going to be my question, because I've seen some of the people playing. I'm like, what's the level to make the team?
No. Will you bring something to group me? Like, will you make that fun and entertaining? We're looking for it's a
good vibes guy sometimes, not just.
Oh, absolutely. Good vibes guy is what we're looking for in hoop group.
So can you overperform in your tryout? Can you make too many layups, too many shots, and be like, you're just actually too good?
Yes.
So you got to stand back.
Now, hold on. Can you make too many layups? I think that's probably a stretch. It's okay if you make layups. Now, if you come in and dunk, it's over. Your tryout's over.
Has anybody ever not allowed in because they were too good?
Yes. Oh, we have a few that, are friends of ours, but it would be no fun watching them play. Being on their team, it'd just be like, all right, what do you want me to do? Go stay in the corner? Okay, great. I'll get out of your way. We want it to be in our games. Travis, you've been there. Jared, they're competitive and wildly entertaining, because it's when someone goes for the game-winning layup, you just don't know if it's going to go in or not, right? That's part of the entertainment of it. Shout out to Coker.
Coker gonna Coker.
Coker, you're my guy. So yeah, he came. He brought his dad. I think his dad was a hooper at some point. But Rajah fit right in. He was he was just not good enough to be perfect for the league.
Not good enough.
Well,
the whole package.
Yeah. He had all the intangibles and skill set that we were looking for. But the list was long. We just wanted to get our eye on him, make sure we put him on the sub list. That's kind of your transition as you go from hey, I want to play, to, all right, we'll put you on the sub list. And that way we can kind of see what you got. But we have a lot of guys that have been in it for many, many years now. And so they get first priority of coming in and out. But he was fun and loved playing with him. He's a great kid. He's very inquisitive on, how he can get better. And, it's great to see that he's getting the success in trucks that he's was hoping to get. And it's not been easy. Like I think that he's ran, pretty good, kind of right around there with his teammates for the most part. Not standoutish, not lagging. And so he's been kind of right on par for where I think that, that organization is, and they have these flashes on mile and a half where they're really good. So, just a great win for him.
Yeah, back to the hoop group thing real quick. The more I think about it, I'm sitting here thinking about you talking about the hoop group. It's like the Savannah Bananas.
Yes.
You got to be able to play baseball, but then you also got to be able to argue with the refs a little bit and just be.
Now you're getting it.
When it's country theme night, you got to show up.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, like when we had country night, we brought a horse in. We wanted the players to ride in on the horse into the gym.
You got to be willing to get here 45 minutes early in some jean shorts. And
we want you here 45 minutes early and stay 1 hour late, because you go to Big Al's after the games are over and have a beer and talk about, cokering the final layup.
Anyway, yes, good drive for Rajah. I was very impressed watching that. I thought Corey Heim was ultimately going to get to him, and it just seemed like he made every move.
And he did. And he had one chance, and Rajah kind of ran him up in the fuzz, and that was it for Corey. He just wasn't strong enough to make another charge at him.
Xfinity on Sunday. Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, Saturday.
Did Justin announce he was going to retire?
I don't think so.
I feel like if he did that, we wouldn't be questioning it.
Travis is moving the thumbs quickly right now, but was it Kenny Wallace, maybe with his morning coffee, Kenny or whatever, talking about, putting the old guys out to pasture, talking about Justin Allgaier is still winning races, but he's kind of the back of all the promos now for the Xfinity series. And he said he was going to retire at the end of next year. Is that right? I don't know where Kenny got that from, but I either way, another great win for Justin. He beat, his teammates that had same cars as him. One of them a Cup guy, and Ross Chastain. And so, it's just another very impressive win by Justin. He's just, dominating that series in speed week in, week out.
He's got a 92-point lead right now.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Wow. I think Corey's got like 120 or 30. It's still he'll have a 200-point lead.
122.
I mean, I think there's 6 races left in the Truck Series before their playoffs. He could take the last 4 off, I think. Pretty close to it.
And still finish P1 in points.
Still P1, yeah. That shows the gap. And what's absolutely crazy? There's a decent chance he's not going to win the championship.
There's
under this format.
75% chance he's not going to win the championship.
Right, under this format. It's just yikes. All right. Cup race. Ryan Blaney, dare we say, dominates the last second half of the race. I'll tell you, I thought that my eyebrows got raised when he stayed out or he took 2 tires, and I was behind him, and I was like, on 4 tires, and I was like, we're the same speed. His tires are a little worse than mine, and we're running the same speed. So I thought that, there was indications from practice that he was really good in the long run. He was substantially faster in the very, very long run than all the cars he was in. But, you kind of don't know, is that a Group A thing, Group B? He was in Group A because of a bad finish at Charlotte. So, it didn't have all the heavy hitters in it that the Group B did. So, and then when we ran, we had very similar long run speed in practice. And so I thought, well, maybe it was just that. Well, when we got into the race, once we got past that threshold of about 35 laps on tires, he took off. He was just it seemed like the field slowed down. If when you look at the lap times, we all just took a jump up. Like we all just lost 3 or 4 tenths, and the next thing you know, we all lost a half a second. And Ryan just kind of stayed on the trend of losing 100th a lap, where we were losing quite a bit more. So he just was substantially faster. That kind of gave me the warning that this he's going to be tough to beat. And all the Penske cars really were pretty strong. I thought Cindric, when they stayed out there, they showed some strength. Joey Logano had a really good run, fourth, a legit fourth, as in he was kind of right there with us at the end. So it just overall they kind of silenced the critics from last week where they really, really struggled.
Was there any moment where you thought that you could get around him and get back to the lead and control the race?
I thought there was an opportunity in the second to last run of the race. So entering the last stage, I guess there's about 120 laps left. At that point, I restarted sixth in line or something like that, but I passed everyone to get back to second pretty quickly. And at that point, I'm 5 lengths behind Blaney and stayed 5 lengths for the next 20, 30 laps. It was our lap times were just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then all of a sudden, my car, I'm starting to get a little free, starting to lose a little overall grip, and he's just edging away like a car length a lap. And then by the end of that run, which is why you saw us go long there, he had pulled out to a few seconds worth of lead. And at that time, our team is thinking, well, if I was able to stay within 5 car lengths of him, then I think it's okay. Let's race him on pit road. Let's race him to pit road. Let's race him on pit road, and maybe we can get past him in the exchange on pit road. But when he pulled out to that lead, that kind of put us in a spot where, okay, we can't just pit when he pits. We're going to come out that same distance behind, give or take 1 second or so. So we're not going to leapfrog him. So let's just go long here. And then we have an opportunity of an 8-lap window by pitting 8 laps longer. We have that ability then for a caution to come out in that 8 laps. Or if a caution comes out in the next 30 laps, no, we're not pitting for tires, or we're not pitting anymore. The tires are not falling off any significant amount. So we're all going to stay out, but now I'll get to line up side by side with them with 8-lap fresher tires. So that was our thinking, and which was it was a good risk reward for us. It was Chris Gale going for an opportunity to win the race and willing to give up second place, which we did. We're going to finish third or fourth. Worst we finished fourth if the 22, leaps ahead of us in that cycle as well. But we had a big enough gap on him that leaving me out there wasn't, totally detrimental. So I thought it was a good gamble to try to, switch something up on the 12, because at that point I thought he was a little stronger.
Yeah. Did you think that you had any chance of getting to him on the tire difference there? Because
I thought
we were
no way.
8 seconds back and then got to 3.
Yeah, I thought there was no way, but I saw the traffic he was in and the rate that I was catching him. And what was interesting is I was catching him way faster than I was catching Carson. I don't know when Carson pitted on that last sequence, but it took me, 15, 20 laps just to get to Carson back to second. And at that point, there was a key moment in the racetrack, and Gluck talked about this because I mentioned it after the race. That track went through a very, very interesting and weird transition at the end where it pinned us all to the bottom. So what happens is this happens at tire tests a lot, is that when you go and you do testing with 3 or 4 cars, they all run one lane around the racetrack. And if you get out of that lane, it's like riding on ice, because essentially what happens is the tire turns to this dust material, right? It doesn't chunk up in rubber like the old Goodyear tires used to do. This one has it's just like the rubber turns into the finest cheese grater type dust that you could imagine. Well, as we make corners around the racetrack, the dust, it goes from where that lane is that you're racing, the dust starts collecting about a half a car width wider than the lane you're running. So just imagine like the air or whatever the car is just pushing that dust to the right. Well, evidently when cars came out from their green flag sequence on the last, with 50 to go, everybody went right to the bottom. And what that ended up doing is that it created this dust on the racetrack from the middle lane all the way to the top. And then when people would go up there to make a pass or whatever, they'd realize, whoa, this is way less grip up here. When really all that needed to happen is you needed about 5 to 6 cars running up there to keep that thing cleaned off, keep the dust out of the next lane and the next lane. And on restarts, that's why you can see that we run 2 and 3 wide, is that when we go under caution, we're cleaning up all the rubber, all the dust that's on the track that might be up high or in the middle. We clean that all off. And then as the tires start wearing, then it's wherever the cars are running for the most part. Then the next lane up on the right is the one that's got the dust in it. And you really can't see it too much on TV. It's filling in the pores of the racetrack. Well, I came out so late in that run that I realized pretty quickly I cannot move off the bottom. I mean, I'm approaching much slower cars, but I can't. The minute I try to just go a little bit to the right of them, I'm in this fuzz, this dust, and I lose a half a second. So just like the rest of the 38 guys, pinned ourselves all the way to the bottom, and nobody could move that final run. There was only 3 cars up there cleaning off the top lane. The 48 that had damage, the 66 that was slow, and the 44. Those are the only 3 that were running up there, and that wasn't enough to overcome the other 35 cars that was throwing the dust in that second lane.
So with that being said, is it actually important in these races to have 5 to 8 cars who are considerably off the pace that are cleaning second lines for you guys?
It would have at Nashville. It certainly would have made a difference in passing. And that's, where I think people were going to judge this race in the Gluck poll. And, I thought for the first part of the race, the racing was good. I don't know what was up with the tire we just had no fall off whatsoever. You could run your fastest lap on lap 15 or something. We got to put more grip or softer compound at that racetrack to get some fall off, because that is why the racing was so good at the end of the stages. And so I think people are gonna view this race maybe critically, because once we got to the last 80, 90 laps, there just wasn't much passing. And really there wasn't much passing until 50 laps into a run. That's when we got to the end of the stage 1 and stage 2, where there was actually a battle between me and the 12 and the 24 and the 45, 19, is that it took 60 laps on tires for them to actually start falling off. And so we need that process to happen sooner, so we have that racing for the entire run, not just at the very, very end, right before we're about to stop. That's the thing with like the Martinsville tire and the Phoenix tire, is that they're soft enough, but you don't start to see the disparity in car speed throughout the field. Like if you look at all of our lap times, right, and you see the graphs in the bus, they're all right there on top of each other. And then at the very end of the runs, you'll start to see, cars that are running slow, their lines are up here. Cars that are running fast, their lines are down here. And you start to see this disparity. That's when all the passing happens. You got to get that happening sooner so we have passing throughout a run. Because right now, I mean, at Nashville, I didn't even try to pass the 19 for 30 laps because I just knew I'm not going to be able. There's not enough speed between the two of our cars for me to go up there and challenge them. I'm just going to go up there, burn up my shit, and then somebody's going to come catch me. So it needs to happen sooner. And to back to your point, all I was doing was confirming you're right that that's why you need slow cars in the field is to keep this thing cleaned up a little bit.
What did I ask you, Denny, on what you thought the good race poll would be?
63% is what I think.
Sitting at 67 right now.
That's right between Jeff and Jordan. That's right between them. I think
Jordan had 71.
64 and 71. I think that's probably a fair number.
Do you want these tires to consistently
Keep
fall
falling off? Just keep falling off, which you got to have tire wear to do that. Right now, it seemed like heat was the biggest issue in the Nashville tire wear.
Yeah,
once you got it to a certain temperature, that's when it would start falling off. But you got to have rubber falling off of it. You got to have, the tire needs to wear out. Yeah.
Does the Nashville's track surface have something to do with this? Like, what's the difference between concrete and asphalt?
Well, they can build a tire. We know that they're capable of building tires that, and they tried. They put a new left side on this week for Nashville that had more grip, but it just didn't wear out. Like, it just gave us all extra grip, and we all ran faster, but it didn't wear out. And I was very optimistic that, oh, good, we're going to have a softer left side. It's going to wear out. It's going to create disparity in speed of the cars, but it just never did. It just made us faster throughout the entire run, and it not till the last 10 laps of a run, right before you're out of gas, did it start to split the field and show who was good, who was not.
You said you were losing rear grip. Was that with the change in the going to night, or what was up with your car?
A little bit of both. I thought that we certainly lost the balance of our car as the night went on. Pit road is so cutthroat nowadays, and trying to get fuel in the car, to put in, to make a bigger adjustment, you got to put a wedge wrench in, and the teams just are trying not to do that at all costs, just because it does slow the pit stop down. But I feel like that's probably what we needed to make our car, to keep up with the racetrack and how it was changing through the night. But I think the 12 was really good, and I think that we lost a little bit of our luster from earlier in the race.
And in order to pass him, you got to be considerably better, right?
Yeah, especially if it's all pinned to the bottom. I mean, good luck. But he was enough better than us in the long run. I'm not sure a wedge wrench would have fixed it. But it would have been interesting to see. But I just thought that he was so much better than everyone else, especially in the long run. Because, I was giving it all I had behind him. When the two of us kind of pulled away from the pack there in that final stage, that's what I had. There was nothing. I wasn't leaving anything left in the tank. I wanted to stay close enough to him to give my team an opportunity to maybe jump him on pit road or something. But as that last 10 laps of the run went on, he just pulled away and solidified his win.
The other turning point was the two tires that they chose. Is that just an advantage of you need track position so you can roll a dice, whereas if you're the leader, you're not going to roll a dice with that move?
Yeah. So that's the advantage of having tires that don't fall off much. It does open up strategy a little bit, but it just becomes more of a track position type race. So yeah, we don't, as we're up front, most of the day, we're not going to put two tires on it. There's no advantage for us to gain track position, so we don't need the two tires. We'd rather have four, and then that opens up possibilities for two, maybe if you have a quick caution or something like that. So I think when you're not up front, it's an option for you, and I think that they exposed pretty quickly that track position superseded any kind of tire advantage that you might have.
Does your team recognize that, though? Like, when you're a car that's up front, you're going to come down and put 4 tires on no matter what. But does Gale recognize that, hey, this 12 car or whoever might just throw 2 on, and now all of a sudden we're going to lose control of this race?
I think that they consider it, but I think they're banking on that we're strong and we're showing enough strong speed that if we had what we thought was the best car at the beginning of the race, you put us on 4 right behind the guys that hadn't, it was not alerting them, while they're running wherever they're running, 8th, 10th. I don't even know.
He was 7th, I think.
Okay, so if they're running there, it's not jumping off the page at them that, if that guy gets out front, he might be, way fast. No, I think they're just thinking, let's just keep 4 tires on the fastest car and see what happens.
Carson Hocevar and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. made some contact on lap 106. Hocevar sent Ricky up in the wall, ended his day, but some disagreements, it seems like, on what could have been done to avoid this.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand Carson's reasoning for saying that he thought maybe Ricky could have given him a break because of the run he had. That's an interesting take. He ran into the back of Ricky, so he wasn't ever inside of Ricky that I could tell. And Ricky was ahead of him and was making a normal arc into the corner. So Ricky would have had no opportunity to even if he wanted to give the 77 the bottom lane, which you don't want to do. Nobody's giving anyone anything. He didn't give it, Ricky's spotter a chance, nothing, because he just dove it in there and said, I think there might be a hole. Nope, there wasn't. Oh well. Like, I just think I think the Amazon guys described this perfectly. Like, when I listened to the post race, I thought they just did a phenomenal job of saying, and Carl said, he's like, eventually there'll be a price. You're going to be running really well. And these guys are just not, and Ricky will be, you can take this to the book. Ricky Stenhouse will absolutely wreck Carson Hocevar sometime in the near future. That's just a fact. I'd put this week's salary on it. I'm not kidding you. He ain't going to punch him in the face, but he will absolutely wreck him. But, because Ricky's that kind of guy that he's going to feed into what people say. Are you going to get him? And, he'll just subtly, he'll make sure if you're Carson, just know that it's coming. So don't be surprised.
We've got some road courses coming up too.
Yeah, but road courses,
right?
whatever.
Easier, right?
Like you want to do it when it hurts them. Like when it hurts their feelings. If you're running 20th, it's like, we were gonna finish 15th today, but instead we got crashed. It's coming. There's nothing I'm more confident of right now other than Jordan having a baby and Ricky wrecking Carson. I just feel as though that's inevitable. I don't think that there's anything that Carson will say, and especially, this is where Amazon did a really good job of their analysts. I shouldn't say their analysts said Carson had an opportunity to be empathetic to Ricky Stenhouse, who he just wrecked, in an interview, and he chose not to, and say, he could have got me a break, I guess. It's like, hold on, this guy is wrecked on the trailer, and you're telling him he should have cut you a break? It's going to come back to him. And I know we've said this a billion times. Listen, Carson hasn't done anything to me yet that has been egregious, but I guarantee you I will get him. If he does, I'm going to get him, because he has gotten a lot of people and they haven't done anything about it. And we saw with Ross, eventually I was like, I'm done. I'm done screwing around with this guy, and I'm going to have to do something. And even to this day, I feel like, God, I didn't do enough, but it was enough to get the point across, and it was enough to then get some meaningful dialogue between us to where like, man, where are we at? When's this going to stop? And so at that point, while you may think it's cool to be the tough guy and you want to just put on this persona of someone was one of the most popular drivers in our sport because he was an intimidator, you're not that guy. And so this is a different type of racing nowadays. It's not the best strategy, especially as good as he's running. And again, he hasn't done anything to me. I actually was very complimentary of him at Charlotte. I thought when he was racing me and William, I was expecting, and like my spotter, he's like, the 77's around you, just be careful.
Right. But even after this race, you guys finished second and third. You got out of the car, gave him a thumbs up.
I thought he did a great, I didn't see that he ricked Ricky. I said that wrong. I said it wrong. It's not what I meant. It's not what I meant. I didn't see that he wrecked Ricky. It's just that they go together. They just go together. And so I didn't know, but I know that once he's been up front, I haven't seen him do anything yet that's been like really stupid. He usually does that stuff when he's in the middle of the pack, not really at the front. But again, we can sit here and talk about it all, but it's up to the drivers to self-police it, and I'm very, very confident that Ricky will self-police this one.
Hey, it's Dale Jr. Did you know that we've got brand new merch from our Stars, Stripes, and Beers collection available now? We've got tanks, tees, beach towels, and more just in time for summer. Check it all out at shop.dirtymomedia.com.
What about Corey Haim's day?
I didn't get to see it much.
P13 until he had the mistake.
Yeah, that's one that I guarantee you Corey wishes he had back, because it's like, it's just not worth it. I don't know if the spotter's calling clear or not.
The spotter told him Brad was out there. And
he did.
Corey said he thought had it and didn't.
Yeah, I trust the spotter. They got a better view of it than you do, and if they're continuing, spotters try to cut things really, really close, but usually if they're saying they're there, they're there, and yeah, you gotta trust them a little bit more. And I know everyone wants to cut it so closely, but I'm looking there. He's in the dominant lane. The 6 is not going to go back by him. More than likely, just run a good 1 and 2 on the bottom. You'll clear. Certainly, I bet he wishes he had it back. But last year he drove to the top. I think 11. He drove to 11th from the back before he got spun at the end of that race. He was part of the whole 5 overtime massacre at the end. So another great run by him, and really the whole 2311 group. I thought everyone, Bubba battled back. The 45 had issues, and they were able to battle back to a top 10. So it was good. I thought all the cars had very capable speed. Riley, I think, finished in the low 20s, which is kind of better than what his average has been. And he's slowly but surely getting better. And I think he's shown over the last few weeks his speed is getting a little bit better. Speaking of which, yeah, Shane, right? Is that where you're going with that?
No, it wasn't.
Where are we going?
I was going to say, speaking of battling back, like, I know it was a dominant race by Blaney, but a lot of drivers that finished in the top 10 had issues and were able to fight their way back and get into, top 10 finishes. So
Travis's favorite driver.
Who's that?
Kyle Larson. I said that facetiously.
Yeah.
He's not Travis's favorite
So
driver.
we're in the bus, and Kyle was caught up in that, I think the Bowman Gregson wreck, and I just go, like, hell yes or something. And they all look and they go, what? I go, Larson's in that. And I go, they're like I'm celebrating if he does bad. I have one driver that I root for.
I don't think we need to ask.
Jared, though.
Is it because you see him as like competition?
He's a competition.
Yeah.
I want the competition out of the way.
Not because you dislike him. You're just like, well, that's a
good car.
competitor
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I get that. That's fair. You're allowed to do that. Yeah, it's just there were some good days, some good guys that battled back, some solid finishes by drivers, especially with that long green flag run. It kind of, you started to see, Kyle Larson battle back to the top 10, I believe it was. Did he have a damage, or did he just kind of get in a bunch of stuff?
I think he got in a bunch of stuff, and then he was caught up in that wreck, but no true damage.
But Bell was in wreck.
You know what's so interesting about Bell? I think every time that he gets in a wreck, he ends up faster after the wreck. And it's usually when he has rear damage. So I don't know what they do to fix it, but they seem to make his car faster. Nobody wants their car torn up, so it's not like. But they never really do enough damage to slow his car down. I remember, maybe was it Texas a few years ago, and he had some rear damage. I mean, it was significant, but he kept going as fast as he was before.
This race solidified the top 32 drivers who are locked in now for the real bracket challenge that will begin in a few weeks. We were, shooting the shit about this before the show started, and we don't really like how this locks the drivers in, right? You want to do it by points.
Absolutely. To explain to our listeners, so the bracket challenge is going to start during the TNT portion of our schedule, which happens in 3 weeks.
We got 3 more prime races.
Right. So these last 3 races on prime, it will be seeding. They're going to take your finishes and seed you. Well, that's not the right way.
Yeah,
I understand why they did it, but I didn't think they thought this through. That now you're going to have 2 sets of standings, a seeding and a points. And if you go by points, we have a great enough sample size now that you can create what is a favorite and what is an upset. Where if let's just pretend I finished last for the next 3 weeks. So I'll be the 32nd seed and I don't know, just throw out a name.
Byron.
No, he's saying
like someone at the back who barely got
Michael
in.
McDowell.
Okay, Michael McDowell could be the number 1 seed, and I'm going to be the lowest seed.
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to promote that there's an upset here? And the problem is they're not. The TV people who have a brain are going to say, well, Denny's going to be favored at, let's just say Dover. Denny's going to be favored at Dover versus McDowell. And people are going to look and say, why would he be favored? He's the 32nd seed. The other guy's the number 1 seed. It's because you shrunk the sample size up to 3 races, and it's just they needed to do by points, make it very simple. And
now that right there is the biggest detriment to it all, right? Because the bracket challenge has, I think it still does, an opportunity to bring non-NASCAR people into the NASCAR world through maybe betting or whatever.
Correct.
You see Michael McDowell, the 1 seed.
But your casuals who haven't been watching doesn't know that the 11, the 24, the 5, the 20, those are the real favorites. Those are the real 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds. Not whoever just runs good in these couple races. And it's not runs good. They could, anything could happen. You could have Byron blow 2 straight engines, and next thing you know, he's a 30 seed.
Yeah, so now you got odds that
they f*** that up. That's not the way this was supposed to go.
We literally handed them a perfect.
They didn't think this through for sure.
And they could have used these next 3 races to just show the standings and use that to promote it.
Yes. And then you truly then have to where anybody between seeds 1 and 16, they're the favorites over the 17 through 32 because there's been 13 races that show that's why that is a favorite and that's an underdog.
Travis, it's not too late. Dale's involved in this prime broadcast.
The ship sailed on this season.
Yeah,
Jared.
yeah. It's gonna disorganize the bracket so much that it's gonna cause too many false narratives. There was enough narratives to be had on this, but oh my gosh, did you see the 30 seed beat the 2nd seed? this week. Yeah, but like in real points, the 30 seed is second in points, and the second seed is 30th in points. It's not really an upset.
There's been some media members saying that if they seem like they feel like the drivers don't care. Do you think it's just because they don't know how it's going to go? And it's
it hasn't
like
started yet.
Once it starts, they'll care.
Yes, that's what I believe. I believe that you will get buy-in from the drivers. I think they do care about the money side of it and the pride of it. I do think that this is going to create some great opportunities for TV to tune in on a battle for 18th that they normally would not care about. And trust me, those two drivers will know who they're matched up against.
I think once the driver...
if we go to a road course, I'm telling you, I think I'm going to tell Gale, beat that guy. I ain't
going to win. I just got to beat that guy.
I just want to beat that guy. Where we think, maybe we'll stay out and get 3 stage points here. Hell no. I want to do whatever I got to do to beat that guy. So we're going to care.
Once the drivers are reminded in a few weeks that this is for real and they're racing for some real money and not a couple tumblers from the closet, they'll be into it.
But no SVG.
No SVG, and that's key. And I think that the races that they have on the bracket, I don't know.
Atlanta, Chicago, Sonoma, Dover, Indy.
I get it. It sucks for me, and I'm way biased on this, so take this with a grain of salt. But you're going to see more likely battles if you put it on a normal oval, where road courses, we're going to get so strung out, these guys probably won't have an opportunity to really battle each other down to the finish because they're in a head-to-head. Like on an oval, the track's only so big, you're always going to have restarts right next to the person. I just think that it's, I don't know. I wish I was in charge of this thing, but I'm not. I don't want that responsibility.
We got anything else on Nashville before we move on to some off-track news?
Not really. Third consecutive sellout of Nashville. Great job by the promotion team there at that track. Did a great job. Had great weather. That really, really matters when it comes down to it. And not only that, but you got to create a fun atmosphere as well. So everything seemed to be good there. Is traffic still a pain in the ass there?
It seemed like it based on...
There's just not many avenues in and out. Luckily for us, and I saw that that Jeff was mentioning that like drivers got the hell out of there as soon as the race was over. Like everyone jetted. We did have we did like have this back road to the airport that they had blocked off for us. But typically, the reason that drivers will haul ass out of racetracks is tracks where traffic is horrible. They're trying to beat the fans to their cars.
Speaking of your race, though, how hot was it for you? Because your water system broke, and
I had nothing. So I don't wear cool suits normally unless it's like blistering hot. So no cool suit. I had no water. I had no helmet fan. So I didn't have any aspects of cooling or drinking. I lost my drink probably 150 laps in. Maybe
you lost your drink?
Yeah, so I run this Camelback system, but it was like the vent was clogged. I gave up on it, but they would just toss a little water bottle in at the pit stop, but that didn't last very long at all. And then my helmet hose fell off again. It fell off during practice, fell off during the race. So I lost all aspects of cooling. So the last part of the race, really the last 100, I had to run my visor up just to get some sort of air. I got hot.
We could see you staring again.
Could you? They said my eyes are crazy.
They are.
I have crazy eyes. Sorry, I don't know. That's how I focus on the track. I don't know. I probably have always done it ever since I was a kid. Once you get into a way of concentrating or looking or whatever, that's my resting face for driving.
I think it's kind of cool, especially with the visor up. You could see better to just show like how intense like you have to be as a driver, and like you could see your eyes glance down and then back up real fast, and just I think it shows just what you guys are dealing with.
Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff going on, no doubt about it, and it's that camera POV was, certainly in my face, and so you could see it's probably not my best look, but it does give a good perspective of kind of what, how I'm focused, where I'm focused, and the intensity of going out there and driving.
750 horsepower is quote unquote on the table per Elton Sawyer.
I mentioned it in the media center, and I heard a lot of drivers say, well, that's not enough. I think we need to just take whatever they're willing to give us and shut up and move on, because it will absolutely be better than 670, which we currently have. Is it going to be the total game changer? It will not, but there's no question it will make it better. I don't know. It could be 5% better. It could be 10% better. It will create more tire fall off. It will create where setups will matter more, and it will create where drivers matter more. And again, it could be 5%, it could be 10%, but it's better than let's say today is 0%. It's better. It would be better than what we have right now. So I am advocating for the engine builders to give us all that they can economically. There's going to be a number where they say, okay, we don't have to change a lot in our engines if we stay under blank horsepower. That's the number that they're going to give us, truthfully. I just hope it's as much as they can. 800 would be okay. I know it's just 50 more than 750, but it's still a little bit more, right? And so I just think that it sounds like 750 is kind of where they're going to go back to. Which is an absolute win for the fans. It's a win for the drivers. While it's a small win, it's still in the right direction, so we don't need to poo-poo on it.
Chris Buescher's L1 penalty to the 17 team has been reduced. Now just 30. Championship driver in team points, it was 60. Crew chief served as 2-race suspension. Reduced to 75,000. Cut in half, more or less.
Yeah, they reduced it, and I think the explanation that the appeals panel said is that it wasn't truly defined how much they could alter it. Like, it's something like that. I think that they put out a statement saying the reason we reduced it is because the rule book was a little ambiguous on how much you could mess with it. And so they said they definitely did something they shouldn't. It's just we don't know to what egregious extent they did.
Speaking of getting caught, his car got pulled back into tech before. How often does that happen where the NASCAR sees her and they pull you back in?
Yeah. Every now and then. What I love about the spin of all this stuff is like I listen to maybe media members talk about, well, yeah, there was no real intent there. Listen, everyone, when you get caught doing something, you absolutely have intent. You have an intent to make your car faster. It might make it a 100th faster or a 10th fast. There's always intent. The RFK cars, it's not like, oh, we just made a terrible mistake. It was a process that, no. There's always intent. And when you go through inspection at Nashville, the team is trying to make their car better after tech, because tech's over with, until post race, the major tech. So NASCAR officials then are watching you as you are rolling it. When you're done through tech and you roll it out to pit road, there's a minute or two where NASCAR officials are keeping an eye on, are you fiddling with this thing after we just looked it over? And they got caught fiddling. That's the basic premise of it. And what they were trying to do is make their car faster. There's no other explanation. They can try to spin it any way they want, but they tried to mess with their car after it was inspection. Obviously, they messed with it in an area that was illegal.
Are teams fiddling often after inspection, and then this is just one that got caught, but like maybe a lot
Oh, I think it's...
don't get caught?
Yes. I don't know how much.
Right.
I don't know how often. But it wasn't anything that it was like, oh my God, did you see what they did? That's not the reaction, because it's like, okay, they got caught.
Right.
After being around AP for the weekend, my conspiracy in me thinks that maybe Allmendinger's team did it last week at Charlotte, similar tracks, and they were fast.
I
said it.
You said it.
The last bit of off-track news we have is that Jim France was looking to put one of his IMSA drivers in a Spire car for Sonoma. So more or less fund
I think
a
he
race
was
car?
trying to do it with Hendrick. Again.
Originally.
Yeah.
Originally, right.
Yeah.
They can't field 5 cars.
Yeah. So then it was going to be I think a Hendrick Inspire collaboration is what I kind of understand, is that, hey, we can't do it, but they can, and we have a relationship with them. I mean, I really can't speak on this because obviously the lawsuit and lawyers are very, very sensitive to this stuff right now, and anything that you can and will be said will be used against you in the court of law. So I don't know. I can tell you as a corner, I fought very, very hardly and opposed the fact that the France family could own charters. I think that is just wildly conflict of interest, and we saw it come to a head in IndyCar, right? But the difference is that you heard Roger Penske say, we're going to get out of competition. I think we need to get a third party to do that. I think that is the right step to do. Roger's trying to do the right thing. I think, when you own the series, the track, and a team, that is just way too much. I mean, there should be laws against it, truthfully. And you're doing this, but you do it because you say you love the sport or whatever it might be. It's just too much. I think regardless of whether intent is behind it or not, I just believe that it's a bad look, and you're not going to stop. And I think the Teardown talked about this really well, that you're just not going to stop the narrative of like, well, did that caution help them or not? Like, it's just not the right thing to do. And so I was heavily, heavily, heavily opposed to this, but they just pushed it on through.
But it doesn't seem like it's going to happen now. So,
and it shouldn't. It shouldn't happen now. It shouldn't happen in the future. Anything like that. So, it just, again, but it just draws so many questions. Just, why'd they go back to Chevrolet? Why'd they go back to Hendrick again? Like, it's just showing too much. Travis, what's the word?
It's bad optics. It's favoritism. Like, it keeps going.
It looks that way. That, like, how can you not perceive favoritism when you keep going back to the same manufacturer, same team over and over to partner with? It just looks bad. Got to stop it.
Anything else this week? What do you got going on now that you're on baby watch for the foreseeable future?
I'm on schedule right now. My work week is exactly as it has been until, we had the fire drill.
You can't pull the "I'm busy, I got a baby" card yet.
I could do that. I could call for maternity leave, I think, especially nowadays. I could pull that card, but I'm not gonna. I'm a worker.
I'm just glad we got the podcast in. I was worried. Everyone's asking me if you're going to race. I'm like, what about the podcast, guys?
I know.
Ryan Truex was our fill-in or what?
Maybe. We had the old adjustable belts in this week. So, luckily we didn't need them, and hopefully we won't need them next week.
How's Molly and Taylor? Are they
ready? They're all ready to go.
Who's more excited?
Molly. Not even close. Not close.
Taylor's still worried if she's going to share a name of some sort with her brother.
I know. Taylor cares about everything that is not important.
I got a review here from Get Motivated 1994. Still can't find it in myself to cheer for you on Sundays, but I love the podcast. Been listening for the past year or so, and I'm always interested to hear your take.
Yeah, well, appreciate that. Hey, one thing that I did notice is that I obviously I got booed pretty heavily in intros. That's not anything new. But when I did the big screen interview, the guy, did you hear this, see this? So he was like, he was talking about, good luck in the race. You got your 700th here and you got a baby coming. He's like, come on, folks, let's hear it for Denny and, everything he's got going on. And there was a big cheer. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, even if you booed me in intros, like, you still acknowledge the moment that, this is going to be a big couple days. And, it meant a lot to me to hear those cheers, and I appreciate those that did that in the stands when they said that.
I think there's way more people now booing you because it's fun and you're like the guy to boo versus people like actually like disliking you, Yeah. A couple of years ago, I think it was different, but I think now it's it's changed a bit.
What does 700 career starts mean to you?
What the most proud thing I am of the 700 starts is that in my 700th, I had a chance to win. And I guess, I was able to tie Jeff Gordon in the best finish for someone with 700 starts. Yeah, he finished third. I ended up finishing third. But still being able to win after 700, which is 3 years, or which is 20 years basically of racing. That means a lot. Usually by this time the performance starts to go away and, usually you're at the tail end. And when I say the tail end, it's like your performance is tailing off, and I just don't feel that way. I feel as strong as ever. And I really wanted to win on 700. Will I be around to see 800? I don't think so. I think that's probably closing. I don't know. We'll see. But I've got to stay at this current level. The minute I feel like it's slipping, I'm out of here.
Well, so like, there's got to be some intentionality to that, right? That you're still competitive on start 700. Like, you're not waking up every day being like, well, I hope I'm still good today, right? Like, you're putting in work to be competitive at 700. Like, what is the one thing that you look at and you're like, man, I'm really glad I've stuck to this, or like, I don't know.
It's a good question.
Like for Tom Brady to play as long as he did, he looks back at his preparation and all that, right?
I think my best attribute is still willing to learn. Even 20 years in, every time I go back to a track, I'm going to go race at Michigan this weekend, right? And it's probably going to be my 30-something start there. I'm going to go there with some sort of knowledge this weekend that I didn't know the previous 34 times I was there. Like, I'm going to learn something this week that I'm going to go there with a new approach, a new mindset, a new technique, something that I hadn't done before. And so it's just continually to want to learn. I definitely feel like I'm a student of the game. I learn from the best. There's a lot of really great drivers out there, both older and younger, that I watch and I learn from and continue to hone my craft after. If I see that they're better than me at a certain track and they're consistently better than me, I'm studying it and I'm figuring out how can I adapt my style to be more like that. I'm not going to copy it, but I'm going to take something from that and add it to my repertoire of driving. So that's what I love about it, and why I think I've had success for so long, is that I'm always learning, and I love the process that it takes to be good at it.
Well, that's one thing I thought I found interesting yesterday being around you, is before the race, you're studying and you're like, man, my restarts last year, and like you were focused like hours before, and you're working on, how to get better for the race coming up, and your restarts when you had the lead were phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm not sure what our retention rate was this week. I thought it was
You were
pretty,
number 2 on restarts.
Yeah, I felt pretty strong with them. Yeah, I learned some things. That was part of the things that I came to Nashville with a mindset of like, okay, if I go back to there with one of the fastest cars again, how could I improve? Last year I was going to win the race. If it didn't go 30 laps over in overtime, I was going to win the race. But there's still like, how can I dominate? How can I lead more laps? How can I give myself more of a buffer to winning the race? Give myself a greater percentage chance of winning. And that is, well, don't cough up 4 spots on restart, because then it took me another 80 laps to get those back. All those things is, what I came into the weekend looking at, of that, even though I was fast, and it's very easy, I think, as a driver and as a team to just look at your result and say, oh, well, we won the race this weekend. We're all good. We go back there. We should win again. No. I changed my approach. The team changes its approach. With every time we go back, we're fine-tuning.
Correction, you were 8th on restarts, but still good.
Which is better than my average.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good anecdote, Travis. We were sitting on the bus yesterday, and Jordan called you to wish you good luck, and the phone rang, and at the same time, you were like, oh, no. And then when you hung up, Austin was like, what was wrong? You're like, my restarts last year sucked. It's like, had nothing to do with, that this phone call might be about having.
I'm working to the very last minute. You're in the bus every week. Until I have to go out there, I mean, they're knocking on the door. We got to go.
Austin said like 20 times, hey, we got to go.
Yeah, I just always am focused on it.
Remember to leave a 5-star review on Apple. If you listen on Spotify, leave a comment. And then on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and also leave a comment. Next week, we're at Michigan, 2 p.m. Eastern on Prime.
We said it last week, and at the time, I didn't get to rewatch the Charlotte race before we came in here, but I saw enough. I did rewatch it, and then I saw quite a bit of the highlights. Amazon Prime is just doing a absolutely fantastic job. And some of it is their production, but they are investing in our sport beyond just putting it on their network. That is the difference that I've seen with them, is that, yes, their on-air talent is exceptional. From the people they have sitting there, Corey LaJoy, Carl Edwards, Danielle Trotta, like them at the table or
with the fans there,
the studio, like they're just doing a really, really, really good job. And so thank you to Prime for not only investing in the media rights deal, but also investing in the sport beyond that, and pushing it and spending the money to put on a professional production. So thank you.